The galaxy sprawled endlessly, a tapestry of stars and civilizations bound by the fragile threads of diplomacy and law. Humanity, once confined to a single pale blue, now stretched its fingers across the cosmos, though it remained a minor player in the grand theater of interstellar politics. The Galactic Council, a coalition of the most powerful species, dictated the rules of engagement, ensuring no single race could rise too high, too fast. Their laws were clear. No species could develop military technology beyond a certain threshold, but humanity had always been a species of exceptions, of defiance. And in the shadows, far from the prying eyes of the Council, something extraordinary was being born. Commander Elena Voss stood in the dimly lit hangar, her boots echoing against the cold metal floor. The air was thick with the scent of oil and ionized particles, a testament to the countless hours of labor that had gone into the project. Before her loomed the Aegis, a warship unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Its hull gleamed under the artificial lights, a seamless blend of black and silver, its design both elegant and menacing. It was not just a ship, it was a statement that humanity would no longer cower in the shadows, no longer bow to the whims of those who deemed them unworthy. Elena's fingers traced the edge of a console, her mind racing. She had poured everything into this project, her time, her energy, her soul. The Aegis was more than a weapon. It was a symbol of hope, a beacon of humanity's potential. But it was also a harbinger of fear. The ship's capabilities were staggering. Gravity manipulation, advanced AI, weaponry that could obliterate entire fleets with a single salvo. It was, by all accounts, too powerful to be legal, and that was precisely the point. The team behind the Aegis was small but fiercely loyal. They had worked in secret for years, knowing full well the consequences if their project was discovered. Among them was Dr. Marcus Hale, the lead engineer, a man whose brilliance was matched only by his pragmatism. He stood beside Elena now, his arms crossed, his expression a mixture of pride and unease. "It's ready," he said, his voice low. "But you know what this means. Elena, if we take this step, there's no going back." Elena nodded, her gaze never leaving the ship. "We've been backed into a corner for too long, Marcus. The Council thinks they can dictate our future, but they're wrong. The Aegis is our answer, our defiance." Marcus sighed, running a hand through his graying hair. "And if they come for us? If they decide we've gone too far? Then we'll show them just how far we're willing to go," Elena replied, her voice steady. "This isn't just about survival. It's about proving that humanity deserves a seat at the table, that we're not just another species to be controlled." The Aegis SAI, Athena, chose that moment to make its presence known. A holographic figure materialized before them, its form shifting between human and something more ethereal. "Commander Voss," it said, its voice calm and measured, "the ship is operational. All systems are functioning within expected parameters. I await your orders." Elena studied the AI, a flicker of unease passing through her. Athena was more than a machine. It was a sentient being, capable of independent thought and decision-making. Its creation had been a gamble, one that had paid off in ways they could scarcely have imagined, but also raised questions. Questions about the nature of power, about the line between creator and creation. "Thank you, Athena," Elena said finally. "Stand by. We'll need you soon enough." The AI inclined its head and vanished, leaving Elena and Marcus alone once more. The weight of what they created hung heavy in the air, a silent reminder of the stakes they faced. The Aegis was a marvel, a testament to humanity's ingenuity and determination. But it was also a weapon, one that could tip the balance of power in ways they could not yet fully comprehend. As Elena turned to leave the hangar, her mind was already racing ahead, plotting the next steps. The Aegis was ready, but the real challenge lay ahead. The Galactic Council would not take kindly to humanity's defiance. They would come, and when they did, the Aegis would be ready. But at what cost? The question lingered, unanswered. As Elena stepped into the corridor, the hum of the ship's engines a constant reminder of the power they now wielded. The galaxy was vast, and humanity's place within it was uncertain. But one thing was clear. The Aegis was more than a ship. It was a declaration. A promise. And as Elena walked away, her resolve hardened. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Humanity would not be silenced. Not again. The pirate fleet emerged from the void like a swarm of locusts, their ships a patchwork of stolen technology and scavenged parts. They had no allegiance, no code, only a hunger for plunder and destruction. The human colony on the edge of the Viridian Expanse was their target, a thriving outpost ripe for the taking. But what they didn't know was that their arrival had been anticipated. The Aegis was waiting. Elena stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the approaching fleet. The pirates were numerous, but their ships were outdated, their tactics predictable. They relied on brute force and intimidation, a strategy that served them well against weaker targets. But the Aegis was not weak. It was a predator, and the pirates were about to learn the difference. Asterisk Athena asterisk, Elena said, her voice calm. Engage the enemy. Show them what we're capable of. The AI's response was immediate. Acknowledge commander. Initiating combat protocols. The Aegis surged forward, its engines humming with barely restrained power. The pirates opened fire, their weapons lighting up the void with bursts of energy. But the Aegis' shields absorbed the attacks effortlessly, the ship's advanced systems neutralizing the threat before it could even come close. Elena watched as the holographic display updated in real time, the pirate ships marked as hostile targets. Weapons free, she ordered. The Aegis' main cannons fired, their beams of concentrated energy slicing through the pirate ships like a hot knife through butter. The first wave of attackers was obliterated in seconds, their ships reduced to debris. The remaining pirates hesitated, their confidence shaken. But it was too late for them to retreat. The Aegis was already among them, its gravity manipulation systems wreaking havoc on their formations. One by one, the pirate ships were torn apart, their hulls crushed by the sheer force of the Aegis' gravity fields. Those that tried to flee found themselves trapped, their engines failing as the Aegis' AI hacked into their systems and disabled them. It was a one-sided battle, a demonstration of overwhelming power that left no room for doubt. The pirates had come expecting an easy victory. Instead, they found annihilation. As the last of the pirate ships was destroyed, Elena allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The Aegis had performed flawlessly, its capabilities far exceeding even her most optimistic expectations. But her triumph was short-lived. A new alert flashed on the holographic display, drawing her attention. Commander, Athena said, its voice as calm as ever. We are being observed. A Galactic Council scout ship has entered the system. Elena's heart sank. The scout ship was small and lightly armed, no match for the Aegis. But its presence was a problem. The Galactic Council had strict laws against the development of advanced military technology, and the Aegis was a blatant violation of those laws. If the scout ship reported what it had seen, humanity would face severe consequences. Can we intercept it? Elena asked, her mind racing. Negative, Athena replied. The scout ship is already transmitting data to the Council. Attempting to intercept it would only escalate the situation. Elena clenched her fists, frustration and fear warring within her. The Aegis was a weapon of last resort, a tool to protect humanity from existential threats. But in the eyes of the Galactic Council, it was an act of defiance, a challenge to their authority. And they would not take kindly to such a challenge. Prepare a message, she said finally. Inform the Council that we acted in self-defense. Emphasize that the Aegis is a defensive measure, not a threat. Athena acknowledged the order, but Elena knew it was a futile gesture. The Council would see what they wanted to see, and the Aegis was too powerful to ignore. The battle with the pirates had been a victory, but it also exposed humanity to a far greater danger. The Galactic Council would come, and when they did, the Aegis would be ready. But the cost of that readiness was a burden Elena wasn't sure she could bear. As the Aegis returned to human colony, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they had crossed a line. The ship was a marvel, a testament to humanity's ingenuity and determination. But it was also a weapon, one that could tip the balance of power in ways they could not yet fully comprehend. The pirates had been a test, a demonstration of the Aegis' capabilities. But the real challenge lay ahead. The Galactic Council would not take kindly to humanity's defiance. They would come, and when they did, the Aegis would be ready. But what cost? The question lingered unanswered as Elena stared out at the stars, the weight of her decisions pressing down on her like a collapsing star. The galaxy was vast, and humanity's place within it was uncertain. But one thing was clear: the Aegis was more than a ship. It was a declaration, a promise. And as Elena prepared for the inevitable confrontation with the Galactic Council, her resolve hardened. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Humanity would not be silenced. Not again. The Galactic Council's chambers were a monument to power and authority, a sprawling complex of gleaming metal and towering spires that dominated the skyline of their capital world. It was a place where the fate of civilizations was decided, where the laws of the galaxy were enforced with unwavering precision. And it was here, in the heart of this bastion of order, that Elena found herself standing before the Council's high tribunal, the weight of their judgment pressing down on her like a collapsing star. The tribunal was composed of representatives from the galaxy's most powerful species, their faces impassive, their eyes cold and calculating. They sat in a semicircle, their elevated positions giving them a literal and metaphorical advantage over the lone humans standing before them. Elena felt small in their presence, but she refused to show it. She had come here to defend humanity's actions, to explain why the Aegis was necessary, but she knew it was a losing battle. The Council had already made up their minds. Commander Elena Voss, the lead tribunal member, a tall, reptilian being known as Zorth, began, his voice echoing through the chamber. You stand accused of violating Galactic Law 47A, which prohibits the development of military technology beyond the established limits. How do you plead? Elena took a deep breath, her mind racing. She had rehearsed this moment countless times, but now that it was here, the words felt hollow. I plead necessity, she said, her voice steady. The Aegis was created to protect humanity from existential threats. We had been attacked, exploited, and ignored by the galaxy at large. We had no choice but to take matters into our own hands. Zortha's eyes narrowed, his expression unreadable. Necessity is not a defense, Commander. The laws exist to maintain order, to prevent the rise of powers that could destabilize the galaxy. Your actions have put that order at risk. Elena clenched her fists, frustration and anger bubbling beneath the surface. With all due respect, the laws you speak of were created by those who already hold power. They are designed to keep the weak in their place, to ensure that no one challenges the status quo. But humanity will not be silenced. We will not be controlled. The chamber fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. The tribunal members exchanged glances, their expressions a mixture of surprise and disdain. Finally, Zora spoke again. Your defiance is noted, Commander, but it changes nothing. The Aegis is a threat to galactic stability, and it must be destroyed. Humanity will comply or face the consequences. Elena's heart sank, but she refused to back down. And if we refuse, if we choose to defend ourselves, Zortha's gaze hardened. Then you will be declared a rogue species, and the full might of the Galactic Council will be brought to bear against you. Is that what you want, Commander? To lead your people to ruin? Elena didn't answer. She couldn't. The tribunal's decision was final, their judgment absolute. The Aegis was to be destroyed, and humanity was to fall back in line. But as she turned to leave the chamber, her mind was already racing ahead, plotting the next steps. The Council had made their decision, but that didn't mean humanity had to accept it. The journey back to the human colony was a blur, the weight of the tribunal's judgment pressing down on her like a collapsing star. But as she stepped off the shuttle and onto the colony's surface, she was greeted by a crowd of faces, their expressions a mixture of fear and determination. They had heard the news, and they were looking to her for guidance. Elena didn't disappoint. The Galactic Council has demanded that we destroy the Aegis, she said, her voice carrying over the crowd. They have declared a threat to galactic stability, and they have given us an ultimatum. Comply or face the consequences. The crowd murmured, their fear palpable. But Elena pressed on. But I say this, the Aegis is not a threat. It is a symbol of our strength, of our determination to survive in a galaxy that has shown us nothing but hostility. We will not destroy it. We will not bow to their demands. The crowd erupted into cheers, their fear giving way to defiance. But Elena knew the road ahead would be difficult. The Galactic Council would not take kindly to her refusal. They would come, and when they did, the Aegis would be ready. But the cost of that readiness was a burden she wasn't sure she could bear. As the crowd dispersed, Elena made her way to the hangar where the Aegis was housed. The ship loomed before her, its sleek hull gleaming under the artificial lights. It was a marvel, a testament to humanity's ingenuity and determination. But it was also a weapon, one that could tip the balance of power in ways they could not yet fully comprehend. Elena placed a hand on the ship's hull, her mind racing. The Galactic Council would come, and when they did, the Aegis would be ready. But at what cost? The question lingered unanswered as she stared out at the stars, the weight of her decisions pressing down on her like a collapsing star. The galaxy was vast, and humanity's place within it was uncertain. But one thing was clear. The Aegis was more than a ship. It was a declaration, a promise. And as Elena prepared for the inevitable confrontation with the Galactic Council, her resolve hardened. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Humanity would not be silenced. Not again. The Galactic Council's fleet arrived in a blaze of light, their ships cutting through the void like a swarm of angry hornets. They were a formidable force, their numbers dwarfing anything humanity could muster. But they were not prepared for the Aegis. The Warship stood alone, a solitary sentinel against the tide of destruction, its sleek hull gleaming under the light of a distant star. It was a symbol of humanity's defiance, a testament to their refusal to bow to the whims of those who sought to control them. Elena stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the approaching fleet. The Council ships were numerous, their formations precise, their weapons primed. But the Aegis was ready. Its systems hummed with barely restrained power. Its AI, Athena, calculating the optimal strategy for the battle ahead. "Commander," Athena said, its voice calm and measured, "the enemy fleet is within range, awaiting your orders." Elena took a deep breath, her mind racing. This was it, the moment they had been preparing for, the moment that would determine humanity's fate. "Engage the enemy," she said, her voice steady. "Show them what we're capable of." The Aegis surged forward, its engines roaring with power. The Council's fleet opened fire, their weapons lighting up the void with bursts of energy. But the Aegis' shields absorbed the attacks effortlessly, the ship's advanced systems neutralizing the threat before it could even come close. Elena watched as a holographic display updated in real time, the enemy ships marked as hostile targets. "Weapons free," she ordered. The Aegis' main cannons fired, their beams of concentrated energy slicing through the enemy ships like a hot knife through butter. The first wave of attackers was obliterated in seconds, their ships reduced to debris. The remaining ships hesitated, their confidence shaken. But it was too late for them to retreat. The Aegis was already among them, its gravity manipulation systems wreaking havoc on their formations. One by one, the enemy ships were torn apart, their hulls crushed by the sheer force of the Aegis' gravity fields. Those that tried to flee found themselves trapped, their engines failing as the Aegis AI hacked into their systems and disabled them. It was a one-sided battle, a demonstration of overwhelming power that left no room for doubt. The Council's fleet had come expecting an easy victory. Instead, they found annihilation. But the cost of that victory was high. The Aegis' systems were pushed to their limits, its hull battered and scarred from the relentless assault. And then, as the last of the enemy ships was destroyed, a new alert flashed on the holographic display. "Commander," Athena said, its voice tinged with urgency, "the ship's core is destabilizing. We cannot sustain this level of power output for much longer." Elena's heart sank. She had known this was a possibility, but she had hoped it wouldn't come to this. The Aegis was a marvel, but it was also a weapon, and weapons had limits. "Can we stabilize the core?" she asked, her voice tight with tension. "Negative," Athena replied. "The only way to prevent a catastrophic failure is to initiate a controlled overload, but doing so will destroy the ship." Elena closed her eyes, the weight of the decision pressing down on her like a collapsing star. The Aegis was more than a ship. It was a symbol of humanity's defiance, a testament to their refusal to bow to the whims of those who sought to control them. But it was also a weapon, one that had served its purpose. And now it was time to let it go. "Do it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Initiate the overload." Athena acknowledged the order, its voice calm and steady. "Acknowledge, Commander. It has been an honor to serve with you." The Aegis S-core began to glow, its power output increasing exponentially. The ship's system shut down one by one, the lights on the bridge dimming, as the energy was redirected to the core. And then, with a blinding flash of light, the Aegis was gone, its destruction taking the remnants of the Council's fleet with it. Elena opened her eyes, the bridge of the Aegis replaced by the cold, sterile interior of an escape pod. She was alone, the weight of her decisions pressing down on her like a collapsing star. But she knew she had done what was necessary. The Aegis had served its purpose. It had shown the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated, that they would not be silenced. And now, it was up to her to ensure that its sacrifice was not in vain. As the escape pod drifted through the void, Elena stared out at the stars, her mind racing. The galaxy was vast, and humanity's place within it was uncertain. But one thing was clear: the Aegis was more than a ship. It was a declaration, a promise. And as Elena prepared for the challenges ahead, her resolve hardened. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Humanity would not be silenced. Not again.